So I'll send this through to anyone that's not on the call at the moment. I want to try and this to be as interactive as possible because we expect a lot of people to join in. I've just got everyone on mute at the moment. What we'll do is I'll just cover off a few topics at the beginning, just 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'd encourage you all to ask questions. I know some of you have sent through questions before, so I'll cover those first. And in the chat, if you've got a question, just answer it, and I'll just unmute people just to bring them in. So can everyone hear me okay? Just mind putting in the chat that you can all hear me okay, just to make sure I'm not talking stuff. Good. Okay, lovely. Thank you, guys. Okay, so lots of stuff going on. We've got a few different people on the call, some limited company contractors, some self-employed freelancers. So we'll try and cover both sort of both situations as they're slightly different. And I'll start off by saying I will tell you what we know, but at the moment we don't have answers to all the questions. So we're expecting more answers tonight, but I thought it was important to just give you an update of where we're at the moment. So the first thing really I want to touch on for the contractors is the IR35 rules. So it's kind of got lost in a lot of the coronavirus stuff, that obviously at the last minute the bill didn't pass through Parliament. The House of Lords strongly objected to the IR35 rules, not just because of the coronavirus situation, but just in general about how the off-payroll rules were managed and what they were designed to do. And they were slamming HMRC in the House of Lords. If any of you've seen the video, it makes for some strong viewing. So at the moment we're as we were. So that means that you guys in charge of your own limited companies are determining your IR35 status. We don't really have much more guidance on that at the moment. Obviously, they strongly said that it's a deferral, not a cancellation. So they're saying it's still going to come in April 21. But who knows what this is going to look like in April 21. All of the campaigns have fired right back up again in terms of trying to drag this out and not let it come back in. But at the moment, we just don't know what that's going to look like. So business as usual for some. I do appreciate a lot have already been impacted by this. A lot of big end clients are sticking with the decision, but we are seeing some that are reversing the decision to carry on using PSCs. And frankly, given the world economy right now, I think contractors are going to play an important part in that. So I'm hoping for those of you that have unfortunately found yourself in positions without contracts, that there might be contract roles starting to open up again. So that's the first thing on IR35. I'm just going to whiz through the other updates that may be relevant to some of you as well. So VAT, so any of you registered for VAT, there is a deferral in place at the moment. So you do not need to make this quarter's VAT payment up to the 30th of June. So those of you that have VAT payments coming due over the next couple of months, you don't need to make those payments. No action needed apart from to cancel your direct debit with HMRC if you have one. You will need to make up the VAT payment. They're not letting you off it completely, but you have until the end of the tax year. So you have until this time next year to make that VAT payment back. The self-assessment, the payment on accounts that we're going to be due in July, there's a deferment in those again until January. The guidance is a little bit unclear at the moment. Technically it says just for self-employed people. I think we're interpreting that to mean anyone that has a payment on account due, but we're going to seek clarification on that. And just remember anyway, payment on accounts is subject to what you expect your income to be in the future. So if your income was going to be substantially less next year anyway, we could always just reduce your payment on accounts anyway. So no payment on accounts of personal tax due July. The employment support grant. So this is the big one where they've talked about 80% of an employment wages. There are lots of confusion around this and no guidance whatsoever at the moment. So this is one that we're guessing, frankly, at the moment. So I'll tell you what we do know. It only covers those employees who are furloughed. So if, like me, you've never heard of the word furlough before, don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, but then that means that essentially that worker have a change of status. They're still technically employed by you, but they can do no work whatsoever. They can't dip in and out of work. They can't do a little bit of admin. They can't do work for 1 week and then not the next week. So really it's for those employees that you would have made redundant if this wasn't in place, and you're just keeping them on the payroll. You're paying them a wage. So the government will reimburse you 80%. You can pay the other 20% on top if you like, but but you'll be reimbursed only for the 80%. There's no mechanism yet to be able to claim that back. So that's what we know at the moment, or roughly what we know at the moment. For a lot of you on this call, I appreciate that you'll be directors of the limited company and you'll be the only person on the payroll, and your payroll will be at the tax optimum amount, so a small amount of salary. We technically, directors fall under the categories of employees, we think, but we're not quite sure how that's going to work yet. So just to bear with us. I know you've got a lot of questions. I'll cover some of it off in the Q&A section, but we're not sure whether that's going to be the mechanism in which you receive support, or whether it might be a different mechanism. The loan schemes, frankly, I don't think anyone on this call is going to benefit from those. They are, in my opinion, a waste of space. A lot of the banks are asking for huge personal guarantees. They only start at 25k upwards. You have to have a really strong business proposition to put forward, like you would do under normal circumstances. I think very few businesses are going to benefit from them, particularly no contractors or freelancers. So that's not really one that's available to you. For those of you that are self-employed rather than limited companies at the moment, the only support available to you is that you are now able to claim universal credits, and that's capped at the statutory sick pay amount. So that's £94 a week. And that's as it stands at the moment. So what we are expecting today is an announcement for self-employed individuals, the support for those. That's coming at 5 o'clock. We'll very quickly follow up with a video when we know any detail. We'll run another webinar next week once we've seen some guidance to go through that. At the moment, it looks like being similar to the employment grant. So something like 80% of your income up to a 2.5k cap. The big debate is where they get your income level from. There's talk of it being an average of your last 3 years self-assessments. A lot of you will know, as self-employed individuals, your income is going to go up and down, so that might not be an accurate reflection of where you're at the moment. But we'll wait and see what comes in there. And the other thing to think about is the terminology. So we've always been very careful to tell our limited company guys, you are not self-employed, you are a director of your own limited company, because technically that is the start. My gut feel is they will merge that terminology, and single director limited companies, I think, might end up falling under the self-employed criteria. So rather than trying to benefit from the employment grant, I think it might be more likely that you will hopefully fall under the self-employed terminology support, and something along the lines of your personal tax earnings, which would be much better because it will then incorporate your dividends, if that's the case. I might be wrong, but from what I've seen, the way they're talking at the moment, that's probably the most likely. That's kind of what I'm hoping for your guys' sake, because I think that'll be a much more accurate reflection. If we have to try and go down the payroll route for you guys, it's really not going to benefit many of you at all. So that's what we know at the moment. The self-employed announcement will be coming tonight, so we'll follow up with some details on that. As soon as we know them, we'll send them over to you. And yeah, if anything else comes through, then obviously we'll let you know. Once the self-employment announcements come through, depending on if it covers directors of sole companies, which I think it will do, I'm not expecting any other huge announcements. That might change, but I think this is the last big piece of the puzzle for them in terms of offering the support. So it's then just working out how we get access to this stuff and the practicalities of it. HMRC are going to have to administer a lot of this. Any of you that deal with HMRC or know our dealings with HMRC, it's incredibly frustrating at the best of times. They've seconded 2,500 employees out of their ordinary roles in HMRC over to the time to pay helpline. That's something we haven't mentioned, actually, time to pay helpline. So you do not need to use so the time to pay helpline is designed for people that can't afford to pay their taxes, VAT, corporation tax, PAYE and so on.
Yep.
So you do not need to use the time to pay arrangement helpline for your VAT. You just cancel the direct debit and don't pay it for the next 3 months. If you can't afford to pay your personal tax, your VAT or your corporation tax, you still need to go through that time to pay arrangement helpline, and they will spread that out. So that's something to keep in mind for those of you that have got other taxes outstanding at the moment that you're struggling to pay. Okay, Ryan, Harry, is there anything else I should have covered?
Company accounts, so might not be the case, but yeah, Companies House have said that they will give a 3-month extension for company accounts to be submitted. Likely not to be the case that we'll sort of get to a point where we need to extend it, but it's an option should we need to. That was the only thing I think you've not covered.
Yeah. Harry, was there anything else?
A link in the chat, so it's to our dedicated webpage. So any updates we're posting out or anything we find useful to you guys, put it on this webpage. It's just a single place to keep all the information together.
Yeah, so. And we are updating that constantly throughout the day, every day. So I appreciate there's a ton of content coming from us and other places, and it can be hard to keep up to speed with it all. But if you can do nothing else and you're not sure what's going on, just bookmark that link and just go back to any videos we produce, any government guidance, we'll just keep sticking in there as well. Okay, so I think I'm going to open to questions. Patrick, I'm going to unmute you if you don't mind, because hi Patrick, can you hear me? I haven't unmuted you. Yes.
Yeah, hello, morning.
Hi there. I know you sent through some questions, so do you want to fire them over at me and I'll try and answer what I can?
Gosh, I can't actually remember what they
do you want me to read them back to you so you remember?
Well, I think the first one was a bit convoluted, wasn't it? It was basically, as somebody whose contract has just been terminated because of Corona. Well, actually, it was due to finish on the 31st of March anyway. They've decided not to renew it. So does this mean that I'm eligible or ineligible for the kind of supports that are available?
So at the moment, there isn't any of the supports that meet your circumstances. You'll fall into that category that I was referring to, that I think and hope that you'll be classed as a self-employed individual for support. So you will most likely, we'll find out tonight, but you'll most likely fall into that category. And it doesn't matter what the reason is, it will be that your income has dropped and you've got no income. So we're kind of hoping that that you would be supported on the 80% of your average of your last 3 years, if that's the route they're going to go.
Okay.
There's no guarantee that they're going to include that for directors, but I think they are. I think they are. There's lots of campaigning and lobbying for. There's a lot of people in your circumstance, i.e., sole limited company directors. It would be a big oversight on their part to miss that out. But given the IR35 stuff, we know they don't particularly have a lot of love for you guys, which is very sad for all of us. But
it's mutual, I'll be honest.
Yeah, same here. So that kind of does that half answer that question? That we don't really have an exact answer to, so apologies.
Yeah, hopefully tonight will give us a bit more answers. So the message that they're going to send out at 5 o'clock should answer these questions for us, that hopefully you fall within that self-employed relief category, and then obviously from there we'll know what we need to do. Hopefully they give some guidance around it. That might take another couple of weeks for them to give the guidance on what you then need to do to apply for the relief, but yeah, obviously we'll make sure we do videos or chats like this to make sure you know what's going on, Patrick. All right?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Ryan. And
No worries.
I think the second question was around, I rather foolishly paid some VAT prematurely because I was trying to be efficient and organised about it. But can I get that money back or not?
They released guidance last night. I had a brief look through. There was no mention of this. I have seen this question pop up in the other group.
Yeah, it's popped up.
I don't know, and my gut feel would be probably not. Because what they said last night was they don't have a mechanism to repay VAT other than ordinary VAT repayments that would be due, and they're encouraging. They said you have to actively not pay, i.e., cancel your direct debit. So that to me would imply that if you accidentally pay it already, or even going forward, that they're not going to do a lot about it. Frankly, a big kick in the teeth. I do appreciate for people like yourself that's already paid it, but yeah, at the moment I don't think there's anything we can do on that front, I'm afraid. If we get further guidance, we'll let you know. Obviously we'll reach out to you, but yeah, it's one of those unfortunate things we can see into the future, so yeah. Sorry.
That's fine. I think the third question you've already covered, because it was about the self-employed support measures, which should come in later today.
Yeah, today we should hear more news on that, hopefully.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks, Patrick.
Problem. Right. Good to speak to you, Patrick. Just going to mute you back up. Was there any other questions from anyone else? If you can just put in the chat any questions, and I will unmute anyone that wants to participate and join in. Or perhaps I've covered it all.
There have been rumours for a few days that they're going to announce a self-employment or employment help, but hopefully it will be today. They seem to be pushing it back day by day.
Right. Hi, Matthew. You're unmuted.
Hello.
Good question. So around people that have been operating for less than 3 years, this is something that we were talking about internally on our Zoom call.
Yeah.
We're not sure. I mean, they must factor that into account.
There's tons of people in that situation where they may have switched, or they may have been doing something completely different before, and this is now their first year. Some people might not have even submitted a self-assessment before, and they're about to submit their first one. So yeah, they've got to really take that into account, and hopefully tonight they'll give us some sort of idea of what they're planning on doing. But there should be something that is there. Maybe you can submit something early, or you can submit this one if this is your first time of doing one, and they should base it on that a little bit.
I think the reason we haven't seen an announcement yet is obviously everyone on this call knows they don't have a lot of love for us. And for you guys, but also, to be fair to them, as the sort of questions that you're posing, this shows why they haven't announced it yet, because practically it is far more complex to give this support than it is for payroll, where you just base it on February's payroll that's already been submitted. It's easy, everyone knows what you earn. So I would imagine they will factor in most of their schemes and grants, etc. they're offering support are sort of based on the end of March. So as long as you weren't someone that's only just started up in March, as long as there's some history prior to that, then I hope that they would base it on that. I mean, if there's 1 year's self-assessment you submitted, I'd be fairly confident that they'd base it on that. I think the problem may arise if you are midway through your first year and you haven't actually made a submission at all yet, then they're not going to have any data to base it on. So my worry is that any of you guys are falling into that category where you haven't made a submission yet at all, then what are they? They're not going to know what to pay you. So I'm concerned about people in that gap at the moment.
I was going to say, I think Harry would probably know better than me if I've submitted a self-assessment.
Yeah, I don't think you have yet. I think your first one
would be your first one.
Yeah.
So obviously, like Ryan just mentioned there, the end of the tax year is the 5th
Pretty
of
soon.
April.
Yeah.
So we can't submit any tax returns until after the 5th of April anyway. We are already internally talking about if the government allow it to be based on this current tax year, i.e. they allow you to submit it, then we're talking about how we're going to handle that internally to process these as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So we're comfortable that anyone that needs it doing, we can rush it through. It's just what the government decide to do about allowing that to count or not. Yeah, so that's a gap I am worried about, unfortunately, Matthew. Sorry, not the answer you wanted to hear, but
Right.
But a lot of people will fall into that. So I imagine there will be something. I just don't know how they're going to manage that. So
yeah, again, tonight is the self-employed stuff again comes in tonight, and like I said, we think you guys are going to fall into that category. A lot of you guys anyway. So yeah, definitely we'll pick up on that. We'll do more calls like this, Matthew. So yeah, make sure you sort of follow our bits that we're sending out and try and hop on the next one, because we should have a bit more answers specifically for that question.
Brilliant. Lovely.
Cool.
okay,
Cheers.
lovely. I'm going to mute you again, Matthew. Just quickly, we got Don. I'm going to unmute you.
Hi guys.
Morning, Don.
Hello. Hopefully everybody's okay there. I'm not
Very
seeing
good,
Grenade.
thank you.
Yeah, we're okay. Thank you very much.
Good stuff. Thanks a lot for putting this on. Yeah, obviously a fairly precarious position. I've got maxed out on director's loans, and I was curious if that will have a deferral as well. We're operating at 50%. There's one of the two of us still working.
Yep.
And with a bit of luck, we'll get something else coming in. So deferral would definitely work for us. But at the moment, things are kind of tough. So it'd be nice to know if there was any possibility for deferral of that taking effect. You know, interest.
I haven't seen anything mentioned of that. I think that's, although it's a good point, we understand that, and you understand it. I would personally be surprised if they do offer anything with that, because it's quite quite specialist. I'm not sure they'll grasp the concept of that. I mean, there is obviously if you have the director's loan outstanding at 9 months after your year end, then there's the temporary corporation tax charge you're going to have. So the way to look at it is potentially getting a time to pay arrangement on that tax.
Yeah.
It's the temporary one anyway. So I think the only mechanism in which you could benefit from that is by speaking to the time to pay helpline if it becomes due, that corporation tax on your director's loan, and using the time to pay helpline to defer that, and then hopefully by that point you would have repaid it anyway, and then you won't have to pay it.
Yeah, that sounds fair enough. I think I've got time to go anyway, so
yeah,
just have to work towards that.
Yeah, I think that's the most likely thing at the moment. I would be very surprised if they offer anything specifically for directors' loans, but I think the time to pay might be your saving grace there.
Fair enough. Thank you.
No problem. I'm going to mute you back up.
Cheers, Don.
You've got Darren. Where's Darren? Over here. Hi, Darren. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can hear you fine.
Morning, Darren.
Morning.
So you asked about the VAT deferral, didn't you?
Yeah, so other than impact on cash flow, so money in the bank sort of thing, is there any benefit to actually deferring the payment?
No, it is purely a cash flow because it is going to become due anyway.
Right, okay.
If you defer it, there's no interest that HMRC will apply to it, so it's an interest-free sort of boost.
Delay,
Yeah, well, it's not exactly earning a lot of money in the bank either, so...
Yeah, so yeah, if that's the case, so obviously people do have the option to still pay the VAT if they want. It's not that you have to defer it. It's just that the option's there for everyone to use. But yeah, no benefit other than just pure cash flow.
So you submitting the return as normal then?
Yeah, that's one of the things. Is the return does still need to be submitted. It's not that there's a delay or an extension on submitting the VAT return itself. That still has to meet the same deadline. But the payment is the important thing, and you can make that at a later date.
So if the direct debit's still set up, then
it'll cancel it. Yeah, definitely cancel it if you don't want to pay it. Otherwise, they will just collect it.
All right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we think anyway. They haven't said that they're going to not collect them, so we'd assume that they're going to go through.
They did actually say last night that you.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we presumed anyway, but they clarified last night that you have to cancel a direct debit.
Okay.
If you don't want to pay it, otherwise they will just collect it.
Yep.
Right. Cool.
Cheers, Darren.
Thanks, Darren.
Yeah.
Right, we got Alan next. Let's unmute Alan. Hi, Alan.
Morning, Alan.
Oh, I'm not sure if Alan's there. I'm gonna read your question out, Alan, and then answer it. Hopefully, you can hear us. So you said, if we make payment to staff now, will the 80% payment be backdated? So yeah, for those of you, so Alan, I know you've got an employee or two. So those of you who do have an employees on the call, you still have to pay the wages. And HMRC will, through some mechanism that they're yet to build, they will reimburse you the 80%. So if you're only paying 80%, they will reimburse that back to you. There's going to be some mechanism they need to build whereby you apply to HMRC and you tell them how much you paid. Their time frame for that, they're saying they hope in April, so towards the end of April. A month, maybe it's doable. For me, it might end up being more like May. So in terms of your cash flow, yeah, you'll get it back, but you're going to have to pay out in the first instance. So for a lot of businesses with employees, you're going to have to look at maybe even other funding to get you through that period until the grant comes back. So hopefully I answer your question, and if not, just put anything else in the chat. Ben, I hope you've answered your question. No problem, Alan, don't worry. We got John. Where's John? Let's unmute John. Hi, John.
Hi there. How you doing?
Morning, John.
Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. You've kind of answered part of my question in the answer that I think you gave to Darren earlier on. But just one thing: if my choice would be to carry on paying VAT as normal, what's the default? Will you be writing out? Will you be calculating it and sending the return information to us to then pay it if we want to?
Yeah, still same as normal, John. So we'll prepare the VAT return, do our check, submit it, send you the email. We're going to tailor that email a little bit that we usually send that says go and pay it, and then we'll just have the option on there that you don't have to pay it if you don't want to. So yeah, your decision really now. If you don't want to pay it, you don't have to, is what the option is.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks very much for clarifying.
No worries. Cheers, John.
Right. Hi, Matthew. I'm just going to unmute you again because I know you had another question. The reason you're struggling to take notes is because I didn't really give you an exact answer on that.
You don't write everything down that you're saying.
I wish I could. I expect, my guess is tonight when they announce the self-employed measures, they will include directors.
And we'll be part of that.
I hope so, yeah.
Hopefully.
That is my guess. At the moment, as it stands, that isn't the case. And at the moment, as it stands, you fall into the, as far as we're aware anyway, but we're seeking guidance on this, you fall into the employment grant. So a director is an employee, you're on the payroll. If you have no work whatsoever, it's trickier for a director to say you're furloughed because as a director, you might be doing things like admin or marketing, and they're saying that you can't even do that. So if you're effectively shutting down your business temporarily, then at the moment we understand to mean you can furlough yourself. So at the moment, you would get 80% of your monthly payroll salary. So that's as it stands at the moment. I think that will change tonight.
Right. So we'll find out what happens tonight, and then on the next chat, we'll.
Yeah. So at the moment, they're about a week and a half, 2 weeks behind their announcements providing guidance. So it's a bit tricky. So when we get the announcement tonight, we'll get a very, very small amount of guidance. So I'll do a video and send some stuff around on social tonight so you can at least get a quick idea of what I think might be included. And then we'll do another Zoom call for anyone that wants to. And then when the full guidance is released, obviously then we'll spam you lot with exactly what needs to happen and the criteria in which it meets.
Yeah, if you don't already, Matthew, try and get us on Twitter, Facebook, one of the socials, because we'll send the videos and stuff out straight away. Obviously, these announcements are at 5 o'clock tonight, so we're going to try and get something sort of straight away out that sort of confirms it. But then tomorrow, obviously, we'll sort of sift through the details and then get a bit more content out. So try and follow us on there because you get a little update later on, hopefully.
Lovely. I ain't on Twitter, but
whatever one you got.
That's your Facebook one.
That's the one. Yeah,
Yep.
Perfect.
All right, I'll follow that.
So that's a
Cheers,
good
Matthew.
point. We're trying to find ways to get this content to you as quick as possible. So obviously, social is the quickest way for us all. We are sending you all emails. We're using an email provider, so I know for some of you it might be going in your junk. So talk to Harry and Ryan about that. I know Harry sent an email separately to all you guys. Check your junk and spam. If you're not getting these emails, then reach out to Harry and Ryan and we can see what's going on and find them. But we're just trying to get this.
Yeah, it's a new thing that we're trying to use. So usually sort of come off mine and Harry's emails itself, but obviously because it's happening quite quickly, we're trying to find a quicker way to get you guys the information. But yeah, it might not be perfect at the moment. We're trying to obviously make sure that you get the information. So if you're not receiving anything, let us know.
Right. Yeah. And also follow that Wakefield page. I've just put the link in the chat again. Any updates, we will be sort of pushing on that as well. So maybe just add it to your favourites for a few weeks while this is all going on.
Yeah, definitely.
Does that kind of answer your question, Matthew?
Yeah, it does. Like I said, there'll be a bit more clarity tonight, I'm sure.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, we do hope so, and then see what we can do. Because like you were saying, at the minute I'm completely dead. I can't do anything. My clients have shut us down.
Yeah.
So
I strongly think that you'll be covered by tonight, but fingers crossed, and we'll keep you posted.
Cheers, Matthew.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
We got Adam. Where's Adam? Here you go. Hi, Adam.
Hi, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah.
Morning, Adam.
Morning, mate. How you doing, Ryan?
Yeah, good yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Good.
Good.
Your question.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because like I say, I mean, I have been working self-employed for 6-7 years now, but I have been working for a big company in London pretty much for 3 or 4 years. Now, even though I work from home half the week, I use my own equipment and all this lot, and, but the question is, was I inside IR35 the whole time? I'm not sure, but if I obviously start claiming, are they going to look closely into my last 3-year accounts and, decide, he was in IR35 and I'm going to try and get all the tax off me, Is that a likely possibility? Or
I saw something about this morning, actually. Someone else posing a similar question.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think there's 2 separate things to look at. So obviously you need to be comfortable with your IR35 status anyway. So advice is always, and especially now, given everything that's going on, if you're carrying on a contract, get your contract check and just be comfortable about your own position so you can protect yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we do have things like the substitute clause in the contract. You know, that's always, I didn't actually realise, but it has been in there the last few years. My recruiter confirmed the other week. So, you know, a lot of the boxes I do tick for outside. But, you know, it's like, you know, it's very grey area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of concern about people. So I don't know if anyone on this call's had a situation where they were operating outside because of the impending changes. Their employer decided that they were inside, and now it's back to them to decide they want to go outside. So that's something that's been floating around quite often. And my answer to that again is you just need to protect yourself, and so the contract review. So talk to Harry or Ryan afterwards and get them to send you some information about the contract check and do that. I don't think the whole support thing, I think that'll be a separate issue. I don't think that will trigger any IR35 investigations. And obviously in the short term, HMRC are hugely understaffed. So I don't expect a huge amount to be going on right now, but that doesn't mean obviously you shouldn't protect yourself in the same way. So talk to Harry Ryan about the IR35 checks.
Adam, I'll follow up and let you know what to do about that. But
I am still actually working. You know, I'm still working for Polestar Group, the Stars Group.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm not obviously, you know, rushing to claim anything anyway.
No, but it's good to know.
I'm sort of obviously planning ahead, you know,
Definitely.
in 4 weeks time. We're not sure how long this is going to go on for.
Exactly. No, that's the thing. It's so uncertain about time-wise. You know, you're still working at the moment, which is great.
Yeah.
But it could change tomorrow. It could change in 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's definitely worth being prepared. But all this stuff we're trying to do now, in terms of like the relief you can get and the support that you can get, will affect you in a couple of weeks likely. But IR35 something we can talk about a little bit separately to make sure so you're happy with how things are set up there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Right, yeah, cool. Thanks.
Cheers, Adam.
Lovely. Cheers, Adam. I don't think there's any other questions at the moment. If anyone's got any, oh no, there is one. Where are you, Tolga? Let me unmute you. Hi there, Tolga. You got a question?
Morning.
Oh, maybe I didn't unmute you. Apologies. I did. It's not letting me unmute you for some reason. Oh, there you go.
Hello?
Hi, Tolga. Sorry.
Morning.
You had a question?
So I haven't been trading since April 2019, and I took a permanent job, and I was due to change my permanent job to another company, and the new company just cancelled on me because of the economic situation. So now I am at this stage that I can't claim any benefits from my permanent job because they didn't want to retain me, and my company is not active at the moment. So I'm wondering if I claim anything from my self-employment.
We don't know yet. My gut feel is probably not. But I do have a question for you. In terms of the role you were made redundant from, was that due to the coronavirus or was that something separate?
That's due to the coronavirus, yeah.
And when did they make you redundant from that?
So I was due to start this Monday. They just told me yesterday.
Okay. Right. Okay. And the job before that you got made redundant from, when was that?
That was, so I'm still on that job. So I'm finishing this Friday.
Oh, but that job will finish anyway.
Yeah, that will finish anyway. So because they froze all hirings as well, and I'm already signed off from there, so they won't take me back as well.
So the problem you have is we don't have the guidance yet on the employment support, but we think it's going to be based on the February payroll. So unfortunately, there's this gap where anyone that started a new job in March, the employer's not going to get the government support. So in this situation, I know you hadn't started yet, but because you weren't on the payroll of the new job in February, they're not going to get the grant to support you, which is why they're not going to take you on.
Right, yeah.
So at the moment, you would fall. My gut feel is you'd fall into the unemployment route. So you'd have to go universal credit for the unemployment route, and it's not the best situation. But I think you're going to fall through the cracks. We're talking to a lot of different people, and as unfairly as it is to the individuals, unfortunately, there are some gaps, obviously, in the schemes. They can't cover everything, and unfortunately, I think you probably fall into the sort of gap in the middle at the moment, Talk to us after tomorrow once we've seen what the self-employment announcement is, and we'll see. There might be some gap there to claim on the history, but I would have thought they'd lock that scheme down so that it's based on an average of 3 years, but you still have to have currently been self-employed, so you wouldn't fall into that criteria. But let's see after tomorrow. Reach out to Ryan or Harry, and we'll talk about your individual circumstances then if we can.
Yeah, Tolga, I can follow up on that one definitely. Yeah, the self-employment thing, like Luke said there, it might be a case that they will let you look over the last 3 years, and the fact that you haven't had any sort of self-employed income the last year, possibly, but yeah, unlikely. It might just be that you sort of don't fit into either sort of set of self-employed or permanent employee. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one, Tolga, and let's say follow up, drop me an email, or give me a call, and we can have a chat. But hopefully after tonight, again, maybe there'll be a little bit more on the self-employed stuff that we can advise you on.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks for the answer.
Thanks,
I'll
Tolga.
follow up with you.
Cheers.
Okay, I don't think there's any other questions, so if anyone's got one, fire them through. So I'm just going to reiterate a couple of bits, which is obviously big announcement tonight. Quickest way to see what's going on is to follow us on social. We'll do something tonight on social. We will absolutely arrange another Zoom. I think hopefully this has been useful to you guys. So arrange another Zoom. To be honest, we'll probably do these weekly if people want, if the need's there. We'll let you guide this to some extent. So if you reach out to Ryan or Harry and tell us what we can be doing, we'll try and do it. So we'll do another Zoom to cover that. The Wakelet link is in the resource link is in the chat. So follow that and we'll update things in there. Keep an eye on the emails in case any of these emails are going to your junk. And the other thing we're talking about doing as well, we sent an email out yesterday. We've had a few replies back, but I'd encourage you, if you're interested, to reply on the form about creating a community group. We'll let you guys dictate what platform that takes. So it could be Facebook group, it could be WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Slack. We use all of those. So we'll let you guys dictate. And it just might be a better way for you guys to be able to ask each other questions and us to step in and provide guidance as a whole to all of you as well. So obviously this is a very tough time for everyone, and we're trying to do our best to reach out to everyone on a one-to-one basis, but because of the pure volume, it isn't always possible. So things like this allow us to reach out to as many of you as possible. So yeah, so thank you for taking the time to come on this. If you've got any other questions or any feedback at all, anything we can do to be helpful, reach out to Harry and Ryan, and yeah, stay tuned for more information tonight.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Lovely. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.